What is up, Retro Maniacs? My name is Mike. His name's Joe. His name's EP. We're here to talk about cards. Last week, we had to put on our rose-colored glasses and tell you all the ways that Fanatics is so great for the hobby. This week, the gloves are off, and we're going to tell you the 5 ways that Fanatics is making our hobby worse. They're just killing it. It's almost dead because of them. All right. Number 1 reason on our list is the way they tend to bastardize all their good ideas. The MLB debut patch is one of the best ideas they've ever come up with. Unfortunately, they're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over. They seem to have a tendency when they come out with something that people like, they go, oh, how can we do this 100 other ways instead of thinking of, maybe 100 other cool things that people would like to. We talk about innovation, and when you come up with one thing that's popular and innovative, it's great. But when you just keep going back to just slightly different versions of the same thing over and over again, it's not innovation anymore. You're just doing the same thing over and over. We all know the day is coming that we're going to be able to buy a Ken Griffey Jr. MLB debut patch. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but they're going to get those into packs at some point. And I know he's with me 100% on that. But yeah, they're really bad with bastardizing their good ideas.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Who's excited for this week? Who out there is excited?
Nobody is more excited than you.
Oh my God. I don't know if you read the comments from last week, which thank God EP doesn't. They were very upset with us that we said 5 good things about Fanatic. They're like, where are the 5 bad things? Did you not hear us say it's coming?
Multiple times.
I tried to make it clear. Yeah.
It is coming. I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to go off script here a little bit, and I'm going to add something to last week's, but it also could be something for this week. Whether you love it or hate it, Fanatics has made me and this soothsayers, right? Every time this bad boy is on and I say Fanatics is going to do something terrible, guess what happens? They do something terrible because that's what they are. They're terrible. Soothsayer is what I am, I say. All right.
I don't even know what that means.
It means I can see the future. With that hat on, I can see the future, and Fanatics is going to do something terrible. I don't think I've been disproven since, and it's fantastic. All right. So, to the actual bastardization of the hobby, which I believe I coined that months ago. It needs to be on a t-shirt. Yes, they're going to be NASCAR drivers. They're going to have patches all over the place. There is nothing I hate more. Well, no, there's a lot of things I hate, so I take that back. But just resting on their laurels, that's all they're doing. They had this one great idea, and it's like, yes, we're done now. Shut it down. We don't need to think of anything else. And that is terrible. It was such a good idea, and it actually gave me hope. Nothing gives me hope anymore. Very little in this world gives me hope. That, for this hobby, actually gave me hope that Fanatics was not going to be terrible. And then they're like, oh, hold on. We're going to just do the same thing over again. We don't care if it's debut patches, retired player debut patch. I'm waiting for that. Mike mentioned it already. Then they're the gold patches. They're going to have them for football players. They're going to have multiple patches for them. I like, just come up with more stuff. Come up with more stuff on a regular basis that you just don't reuse. You need to be better than Panini. Period.
Yeah, Mike brought it up. Like the deal. Why we love the '90s so much. The mid to late '90s. Like there was so much competition that the companies were just throwing out everything against the wall, and literally, even if it wasn't sticking, they were throwing it in packs. And we ended up with some of the most amazing stuff in the world, where this more calculated way of doing it, especially these 1-on-1 debut patches, where they became this immediate number one collectible thing in the hobby. And I'm sure that's going to follow for the NBA and the NFL as well. That's going to be the card to own for these players, for the people on that high end, in that high end world. And so them taking advantage of it from a business perspective, you got to respect it. But also as a hobbyist and a collector, like we don't. How far away from are we from them turning the one debut patches into? Well, now there are 4 different tiers of debut patches. This one's a gold one. This one's a red one. This one's a camo. Like the parallels are a thing everywhere.
Them ideas, EP, they're already sinister enough. They don't need your help.
I'm just saying, like, and you totally see that happening. Like that's the way their brains work, and that's how they're going to do it.
You might be a soothsayer after that. That's a good one.
And I said in the last one that one of the advantages they have is that they've already manufactured the jerseys and stuff, so they could come up with a way to put a patch on or remove a patch, so a player could wear 100 patches during a game. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that it could vary. They're gonna ruin one of their coolest things that they came up with for sure.
All right, number 2 is pricing. Now, if you've stumbled across our video here and you've never watched us before, this guy here and this guy here, where is he there? They have a little bit of an ongoing rivalry on our shows here. This guy kind of doesn't like Fanatics a whole lot. This guy kind of loves them way too much. And, they've had some battles going back a couple of years now about pricing on Topps products. I'm going to declare today Joe Day the winner of this argument, because they have shown that they are going to be increasing prices. Unfortunately, Panini started this by charging ridiculous amounts, but Panini's going to be gone. And now Topps is like, well, Panini got this much, so we can sell stuff for a lot more than we were selling it, but maybe a little less than what Panini was, and people be happy because they're going to think that it's cheaper. Even though the same people that were buying boxes of like Topps Chrome for like $169 one year paid $200 the next year, and then $229 the next year, and before you know it, they're paying $500 a box for something that they were paying like 20% of that for. So yeah, if we were hoping that Fanatics were going to lower prices, that's not going to happen. Flagship Topps, they took packs out. It costs more. This doesn't even bring into play all the high-end stuff that they're adding to it. They have a lot of that high mid-tier stuff now, more I think than Panini had. It's just, yeah, we're going to be paying through the nose for wax. Just not going to change. They're just going to do what Panini did, maybe just a little lower price.
I am, if nothing else, a magnanimous winner. Okay, so EP, if you would like to go,
no, you're not.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay,
and then I can refute.
Oh, you can be a rebuttal. You can right. Offer your rebuttal to my. So, first off, if you want to go back and check the tape, there was a point where I admitted that that
it was like 2 weeks ago.
No, get out of here.
Yeah, it really was.
I admitted that they were going to raise the prices, but I thought it was going to be a slow burn, and I realized that I was completely cooked on that thought. In 2024, when the flagship came out, when they put less packs in and the prices were higher, then it was even more so. Like last year when they were releasing the Topps Chrome, or it was even 2024 when they were releasing the Topps Chrome football, the unlicensed Topps Chrome football, the prices they were releasing that at, my take is completely cooked. I'm totally done. So yeah, the 100%, their prices are they're not going to go down. They're going to continue to rise. They're already in a lot of the cases, they're already too high for me to even think about buying. Bowman this year, I didn't even know it was launching when the week it launched. I cannot afford to buy boxes at the prices they're at. It doesn't make any sense to me with what I do. If I was a breaker, sure, maybe, but as the collector that I am, it doesn't make any sense for me to buy them.
EP, I'm going to need a full apology to the conspiracy hat. I need you to apologize. A full apology to this hat right now.
On the main show, you refer to the hat as a sentient being again, and I'm not going to apologize to the hat. I'm going to admit you're the winner in this case for sure, but I refuse to apologize to a hat.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyway,
I refuse to apologize to a hat was just said in a YouTube video.
and that is a t-shirt idea if I've ever
It
heard
is.
one. Yeah,
Thanks for the hat.
so EP, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. Mike, you did make mention of it as well. Yes, panini prices are absolutely ridiculous. We can all agree on that. EP, before recording, going to pull back the curtain, did say, well, Panini does XYZ. And I said, whoa, this show is not about Panini versus Topps or Panini versus Fanatics. This is about the industry leader, the person that the company that's going to take over the hobby for the next 20 years. This is what they're doing wrong. So it's not a Panini versus Fanatics thing. It is what we think Topps and Fanatics are doing wrong. The 5 things that they're terrible with. Yes, pricing is terrible. And the thing that worries me, and I think it was you, Mike, who said, it's not as bad as Panini. And people might think they're getting a deal because of that. I'm going to hold judgment on or hold comment on whether it's going to be as high as Panini or not. Did you see the prices of unlicensed product? Like, if that's what they were charging for unlicensed stuff with hardly any of the active players in it, what are they going to be charging when they are putting licensed product out there and people bought it? Why would they say, we can't charge $800 a box for Topps Chrome? People bought unlicensed stuff for over $500 on the secondary market. Why wouldn't we just keep doing that? So I'm going to, we'll keep this argument going, EP. We'll see if I'm the winner on the second round of this, because I don't think the prices are going to be that much lower than Panini over the next 5 years or so. 5 years from now, we could be looking at this going, man, do you remember when Panini was cheap? I don't know. It's possible.
Nobody will ever say that, but that's fine.
Really? Mercury, period. Mercury, period.
All right. Number 3 on the list is how they're pushing out older card shops. Again, it's their product. They can do what they want to with it, but their version of what a card shop needs to be, it's fine. Like, there are some people that really enjoy that, and that's their thing, but you run the risk of losing some people that don't think that their version of an LCS is the right thing. Having that big mega store with everything all fancy and clean, and some people like to go dig through boxes. Like, we've talked about it on the channel, that they kind of make people like us that like to go into a shop and just see what they have, root through boxes, feel like we're somehow doing the hobby wrong, or that's an old way of doing it. It's a big part of it. I don't know that you can do the things you want to do and not leave those people behind. It's just, maybe you don't give them as much product, but to cut them out completely, I feel like you're cutting at least a section of the hobby out of potentially buying your products. And I don't know, just because the card shops I like to go to don't have Topps flagship doesn't mean I'm going to go to the card shop that I don't like to get.
Yeah. So last week we talked about the buyback program, right? And it was one of the 5 things that we really, really loved that Fanatics did, was this MVP buyback program. My favorite part of it, and I said, I'm going to reserve going forward my thoughts on it until next week, because my favorite part of it was bringing the LCSs into it and saying, oh, here you go. You can go to your LCS, get a $20 gift card to that LCS. The LCS then submits these to Topps and gets reimbursed, I'm guessing, was how it worked. And they're kind of cutting that out with the new MVP buyback. And on top of that, I watched an interview that Dustin, the sports card dad, did with Jeff Wilson, which, that's time of my life I'll never get back. But I watched that, and what he was saying about local card shops was infuriating. Like, oh, no one likes going into those card shops with dusty boxes and this and that. Yeah, a lot of people do, actually, asshole. A lot of people do. And just because they're not your shop and you want to open up the Walmart of card collecting, okay, cool. But that is not what everyone in this hobby. And, he just whined in a video that we reviewed on the channel this week. He just whined in a video that, oh, people complain about you're not a true collector if you do this, you're not a true collector. Then he goes on and does an interview where he's saying, oh, card shops like this, we don't need them. So let's just, so Topps doesn't have to, or Fanatics shouldn't give them product. It's ridiculous. It's something that draws people to the store, helps the ecosystem of that store exist, right? Like you go into UConn, oh, I'm going to buy a box of, you've done it before, Mike. You bought WWE products from him. Now he probably can't get Topps WWE products. So something that you would go into that store and get, he can't. You're muted, Mike, by the way. He can't. he doesn't have that. So then there are people that would go in just for that and then see all the cards he has and maybe pick up some comic books. And it's one of those like icebreaker type of things to have sealed product. To cut them out completely is a douchebag move, just plain and simple.
Yeah, I think I think one of the big things here is, and we talk about this a lot, is the disconnect with the hobby. I think Fanatics is at a disconnect with the hobby. I don't think they understand really what collectors are. Like these super high end shops, I feel they're more catered toward the people who want the PSA 10 graded out of 10 card. Like that is the kind of thing that people are going to be going to those kinds of card shops for. But I think that's like the vocal majority that you see on Twitter and that sort of stuff, where I think there are still a lot of people like us of all ages who want to walk into a place like Doc's. We're going to dig through the boxes. We're going to take our stack of cards. And UConn, same deal. You're going to walk up to the front counter, put the cards on the counter, and then you're going to look and see what kind of boxes are available. And then you're going to pick out a box here or pick out a box there to go along with the cards that you also bought. And that's going to be part of the transactions, part of the fun. And I think they are leaving in my opinion, a huge part of the hobby. Maybe 40 to 60% of the hobby still is that kind of collector. And I feel like that is they can do it because they're just going to continue to make money because of the breakers and everything. It's not a good way to run business to really make customers happy, all your customers happy, but they don't care about that because they're making their money off the breaking.
Would you have gotten an allocation, Mike? The original Mike's Upper Deck, even the second one, would you have gotten allocation from Topps? And that's what I said when we first talked about this. Is shops like Mike's, shops like UConn, Doc's, they're going to get cut out of the process. And that is a disservice to those shops. And you're going to see some of them, I mean, maybe they won't close down because of it, but it's going to be financial. It's going to be a little bit of a hardship. And to see shops like that go away, if Michael Rubin was a true collector, right? True collector, if he actually knew anything about cards, he wouldn't want to see that happen. Because he would have had a Mike's Upper Deck to go to when he was younger, and it would have shaped him. Instead, again, we're turning card shops into Walmart, and that's what he's okay. That's what he wants. It's exporting goods. We're turning them all into that.
And if you were at the National last year, that one dealer that has all those boxes and sells cards for $1 had like people around his table all the time, like 3 deep trying to get in there. So there's a big section of the hobby that likes to do that stuff. Just don't leave them behind. You don't want to lose them. All right, number 4 on our list, and this kind of leads into that a little bit. They don't do a whole lot for the lower end of the hobby. If you follow Topps social media, they show pictures of really cool cards that they're designing as big hits in different products that are coming out. But it's all the same thing. It's all a rare one of one. It's all a super hard to get case hit or multiple case hit out of like a more expensive product. They seem to be, and this will go into the next part, so I don't want to step on that, but they're doing this for a reason. They're creating chases for a reason, and they're really not doing much for the rest of us. They're not coming out with a lower end set that is a new set, something brand new they could do. They're not doing that. They've cut out a lot of the collector sets, the lower end sets. Everything seems to be geared toward stuff that can go to breakers and stuff people will want to get in breaks and things that most collectors will never attain in our lifetime. They're cool to look at. I'm not going to say that like Shohei Ohtani with the bat card in kanji with his kanji autograph on it isn't a cool card. It's a fantastic card. But I'm never going to have it. It's like that $10 million mansion on the ocean that is beautiful that I'd love to have. I'm not going to have that. Great house. I'm not going to have it. Where's the 2-bedroom condo that I can buy?
I was just going to ask, where's that condo? Right.
They need to, and it's fine having that stuff and that brings attention, but start doing a little bit more for the people in the lower end of the hobby. Keep all of us involved. I feel like right now they're just starting to cater more and more toward that upper end of the hobby. And I wonder, that's not going to be a good thing for the long-term viability of the hobby if they lose the interest of the lower half.
When the end user of a card has to be a multimillionaire, that's not good, right? And that's kind of where we're at now. Like, the end users of all the cards that they post on their social media, all the cards that make the news, all the cards that they're really focusing on, the Mercuries, for example, the debut patches, which are in Topps Chrome, right? So it's not a super high end, but when you're only focusing on stuff like that, and I've said this before, I know to EP, it's like there aren't enough crumbs for everyone else. Like, they're so focused on that high end stuff. And what I mean by end user is, if any of us pull one of those high end cards, we're not the end user for it, because it would be stupid for us to keep it in our collections because they're so valuable. So you have to sell it. You have to sell that Paul Skeens for over $1 million, right? Like, so it just seems like there's nothing out there for us. And I agree with EP, and we talked about this before we started. It's not like Panini has had like super accessible products either, but it does feel like the downtowns are a chase, and they're a chase that you can get out of retail. They're a chase you can get out of hobby. They're a chase you can get across a bunch of different products. I don't feel like, maybe Topps does have something like that, but those downtowns are really, really popular, and they're attainable. They're not super high end that if you pulled a downtown of your favorite player, you won't say, oh, I got to get rid of this. I can't afford to keep this in my collection. Whereas a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, the top shows on their social media, again, we're not the end user for it. And the end user has to have 8-figure bank account, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. Like, they should show more of, like, the only base card you see, or base cards you see, is when they release flagship every year, and that's a huge deal. Obviously, the design for flagship is a big deal. I look forward to seeing the flagship designs for football and basketball as well. But show, like, Allen Ginter is a popular set with a set of collectors, and you're not paying for each tweet on Twitter. Show us a base card. Show us a base rookie card of a top player. Show us something like that. Like that, they spend so much time on those big ones, like the Kanji Otani auto card, the Bat Knob 101s that they keep showing those as well. Like Mike likes to say, none of us are going to get those cards. There's no chance we're ever going to get those cards. Like they're unattainable, and maybe that's part of the reason why they do it. Like they show those cards. But the bottom line is, I wish they would show more. Show like the regular collectors, the cards that people are actually going to get out of packs. Show us those as opposed to all this other stuff. And Joe said, though, they are so maybe it was Mike. They're so focused and concentrated on the breakers, on that side of it, that they're just they can't get. I don't think they even think about the like normal collectors, like the average person. They're worried about what's going to get them the most clicks probably, and what's going to get them the most buzz, and what they're going to be able to sell more products by posting. And
since EP, real quick, since EP didn't bring it up, I would be remiss if I didn't mention a lot of the products that would be for those type of collectors have been cut.
Oh yeah,
Topps and Fanatics cut a lot of those collector type products from their manufacturing, so they can manufacture things like Mercury. So again, you have this situation where they're taking a collector type product, said no, we're not going to print that. They can have flagship. Let their crumbs be flagship. And then everything else is going to be on that mid to high end level. Let's replace it with Mercury and things like that. That is also a major problem. Again, Panini doesn't have a lot of low end sets. I completely agree, but this is about the company that's going to be the industry leader for the next 20 years.
And the reason they do that, and the reason they post pictures of this, is because they want to send you to the Fanatics casino, which leads us to the number 5 reason. Is the gambling that Fanatics brings. Yes, gambling is already in the hobby, but they are really embracing it. The reason you're seeing those cards on social media is because they want to get people to go, oh, I got to buy into that break to try to get that. We know that a large part of their product is now being sent to breakers. The reason they're replacing lower end sets with higher end sets is because people don't want to break the lower end sets. They want to break the higher end. They want a chance to win something. They don't care what it is. They just want to pay an amount of money and hope to get something more out of it. They're playing slot machines. They're playing blackjack. They're playing poker. Fanatics already has a sports book. They actually have two, though, because this is the same exact thing. The way it's, I know, shocking to everybody that a company that has already gotten into sports betting might embrace the gambling side of cards, but that is 100% what they're doing and why they do all this. And it's gross. They also have taken Tops Now and turned it into a lottery. People aren't buying the cards because they want the cards. They're buying the cards because they're trying to get that one special card out of the hundreds of thousands that they're going to print that has a big value to it. They don't even care if it's something they like or not. People are probably buying those by the thousands trying to get that. They are doing more than any other company to just turn our hobby into gambling. It's a big casino.
Wait, are you saying that people didn't buy Tops Now cards of the Pope because they were huge fans of Dr. Prevost? Is that really? Oh, okay. A white smoke parallel. Anyway, so yeah, not only are they a casino, but they get you from both ends on it too, right? So they're making the cards
more than both ends. They give you all the ends of the way.
Yeah, they're making the cards. You're buying into a break onto Fanatics Live. You can sell that card on what used to be PWCC, right? Fanatics Collects. Then you can get credit. You can go to the Fanatics casino, the Fanatics sports book. They are basically it's just a constant. It's like the means of production, right? It's just constant flow, circular. Like once you then sell that card on Fanatics Collect, it's not like you take that money and buy your pay your gas bill, right? You're then going back to the you're hitting the cycle again, right? So like it just that's how they view this hobby. That's at the end of the day, they look at you as a collector, the collector, as a dollar sign. That's all they look at you as. They're not in it for you at all. They're in for you and getting into your addictive gambling personality. They're getting to you to then turn you into a full-fledged gambler. We complained for years about, can you believe Panini put Panini points into this product instead of an autograph? How long before Fanatics just puts credit into the sports book? Credit for Fanatics Live. Credit for Fanatics Collect. I mean, come on, don't tell me it's not happening or going to happen. And then, like something like the Paul Skeens card, the 101 Chase, right? They knew that card was pooled, but they still wanted people to keep buying the product. So they didn't tell anyone it was pooled so that people kept buying that product. Why? Because they were gambling for that Paul Skeens. People weren't buying Topps Flagship. Most people, EP, weren't buying Topps Flagship to put sets together. They were buying it. I'm sorry, Topps Chrome. They were buying it to try and pull that Paul Skeens. They were gambling to get that. And it's just, they saw, and they see it with their sports book. They saw this glitch in the hobby where people have always gambled to a certain extent, right? It's always trying to get that, autograph card out of that box, or that rookie card, the 89 Ken Griffey Jr., I guess. People were chasing that and gambling to pick that up. But the money difference is so widely different between then and now that the gambling now could ruin people's lives. And we did a whole segment on the podcast about this. So yeah, it's gross how they're doing it. I know people are going to push back in the comments, fine, whatever. But the fact that they are preying on people that they know have addictive personalities is not great. It's great for business, great for white parties. It's not great for the hobby.
Great for business, not great for the hobby. Should be also be on a t-shirt. Joe, I have a follow-up question. You said I can't use my Fanatics bucks to buy gas. Is that accurate? I'm just want to double check. Is that I can't use the Fanatics bucks to buy gas?
Probably not, but I'm sure you could use it to try and win some money.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right.
So there you go.
And then I think first thing I wrote down was as Mike was talking, I want somebody from the hobby who's more talented than us to put together a 30-second commercial for the Topps Fanatics Casino. And I think it would be amazing. Maybe even a 2-minute infomercial.
Why are you giving away content ideas to other people who can do it better than us?
Yeah.
When would we have time to put it together, really?
Well, not with that
None of us
attitude.
have time. Just because you work all day every day doesn't mean the rest of us do.
And to one of Joe's points, I just want to point out a scenario here. So a hobbyist who is, let's just say, maybe a little bit addicted to the parts of the hobby that can be addictive. They buy into a break of a very expensive product, and then they get a card, and they decide, you know what? I want to get my Fanatics bucks for it, so I'm going to sell it back to them for the repack product. And then they buy into a break with the repack stuff, and they get their card back, and then they have to sell it again. Like I can totally see that happening, right? Like 100%.
Oh,
there's a potential for that to happen, and that is the kind of like weird twisted system that Fanatics has right now. And I just want to talk about Topps Now for just a second. Topps Now was never my thing. I remember when it launched, and I playing the baseball games, the MLB The Show, like they would use the Topps Now cards for some of their sets or whatever, with some good players here and there. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting, it's a fun thing. There probably were a lot of people who, maybe not a lot, but there were probably some people out there who bought every single card. There's probably somebody who has every single Topps Now card ever made. That's what they're collecting. They love to do that. That's their kind of thing. And what Fanatics has done with that, with this thing that was used to commemorate special events and that sort of stuff, is totally turned it into a part of their gambling arm.
Would you say they
gambling
bastardized
wing?
Would you say that they bastardized?
I would say
that
they have. Yeah, I would say they have. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. I think that covers a lot of ground. Yes, there's a lot more ground to be covered here. If you have thoughts, let us know in the comments. I'm sure nobody has any other gripes about how Fanatics is ruining the hobby, right? Probably going to be all, yep, that's it. There aren't anything else. You guys got it. But
and if you comment down below, how did you not mention this? How did you not mention that? Because we can only do 5. This show could have been 3 hours long. We had to cut it down to 5. So yes, I'm sure we missed something. And if you're that Fanatics fanboy who accidentally stumbled on this video, watch next week. Or watch last week. Watch last week. That'll make you feel so much better about the situation.
Well, all right, guys. There you have it. That's all we got for you. Back next week. Take care, guys.
This was awesome.
See ya.